you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Bruins Vibes.
Bruins win the Stanley Cup.
Breaks are going into the corner. But, oh, there goes a
a pane of glass on a gigantic...
Are you kidding me?
The sickest Boston Bruins podcast.
Sends it in, and it's Pasternak scores! Series winner for David Pasternak and the Bruins.
It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to a special edition of the Bruins Vibes here on the Sick Podcast Network. Brendan Kelly, we will get to his bio in a second, and Jimmy Murphy here. Don't know where my host is, Brendan Sennett. It's another Brendan, by the way.
Okay, good name.
So yeah, he's a good man. But I think we were gonna have trouble because we wouldn't have been able to hear him out of the computer here. We don't have the full equipment today, so we are winging it on my laptop. We apologize for the delay. I know it's 5:17. We were supposed to start at 5:05. I apologize, but we are here in McLean's Public House. We were here with the eye test the other night, Pierre Maguire and I. And you've seen us here many times last season when we were here for the Four Nations and for some other Bruins Canadiens games. And it has become a second home for the Sick Podcast Network and the podcast that I host, the Eye Test and the Bruins Vibes. But we're psyched. We're here in Montreal because the Boston Bruins are playing the Montreal Canadiens tomorrow, Brendan.
It's always gold. It's always gold. Black and gold.
Yes, I gotta say, I don't like that they only play up here twice this year. I don't like the schedule. We'll get to that in a second. But one thing I do want to say, and for all you Bruins fans that are watching or listening right now, and you're here in Boston for the game tomorrow, Montreal for the game tomorrow night, get over to McLean's Public House right now. Tell them you know the Bruins Vibes and Jimmy Murphy and Brendan Kelly. The staff will treat you like gold, even though you're a Bruins fan. They respect the rivalry. They will help you out. But the next time you definitely want to be here at McLean's Public House for a Bruins Canadiens game. Brendan, do you know what day the Bruins and Canadiens play the next time they're in Montreal?
I have no idea.
It's a day that's very dear to our heritage. Lots of shamrocks.
Come on, not St. Patrick's Day.
On St. Patrick's Day.
Oh my God, that's
Tuesday,
gonna be incredible.
We will be right here. We're gonna do the eye test here. We're gonna do the Bruins Vibes here, live from McLean's Public House, 1420 Peel Street. So remember that date. That is going to be insane. But also remember that day if you can. Not now. Have a good time tonight if you come here. But that day, remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint, because the game isn't until 7 o'clock. And if you pay a lot of money, you're a Bruins fans coming up here for a hotel and the game tickets and everything, you don't want to be too tipsy because, you want
to be able to see the game.
I've been at hockey games on St. Patrick's Day. My mic's a bit hot, they're saying. How's that, Shane? Better? Let's see. Sorry about that. How's that, better? We'll see. Perfect. Perfect, our producer Shane says. So, Brendan, I want to introduce you first. Okay, sorry.
Sure,
So I didn't mean to cut you off. So, Brendan Kelly is a writer for the Montreal Gazette, but he's a man of my own heart, my own taste. And also, he reminds me a lot of a good friend, a mutual friend that we have, Mitch Melnick. He's very into hockey, knows a lot about hockey and the history of hockey, but also is a music connoisseur. And that's kind of like how I model myself. As you guys know, you watch me in the eye test, you watch me here. My friends obviously know if I'm not talking hockey, I'm not into hockey, I'm into music. It's my passion. I try to pass that down to my daughter, Brendan. It's going well. She's dance. She does 4 dance classes a week in all different genres.
Amazing.
She's
very cool.
She's into this wonderful band that I know you like.
My favorite
the
band.
Ramones.
My favorite band.
And your handle on Instagram is?
Brendan Ramone.
There you go.
Brendan Ramone.
There you go.
And I got The Cure today, another
band I love. Yep, great stuff. So a man of my own heart here. I'm glad to have you, Brendan. And before we get into teeing up the game tomorrow and getting into the details for the Bruins Canadiens tomorrow, I want you to pull up an interesting book I'm looking at right now that you are the author of. So right there, Habs Nation, Brendan, and what else?
It's called Habs Nation, A People's History of the Montreal Canadiens. Just came out a couple of weeks ago via Baraka Books. Here it's available all across North America, and it's a history of the Canadiens. But the whole thing about the book is it looks at the Canadiens, but it makes a parallel between the Canadiens and Quebec society. So, it's interesting you mentioned March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. So you talk about the Rocket Richard riot, March 17th, 1955. An event that was an event. It was a hockey riot, but it also changed Quebec society, led to what we call the Quiet Revolution here in Quebec. So it's about how the Habs impact life in Quebec and how life in Quebec impacts the Habs. I mean, for example, in the 1970s, we had those fantastic teams with the Canadiens, and we called them the Flying Frenchmen. Well, that was a great time for Quebec society. Society was booming. You know, culture was effervescent. Nationalism was on the rise, and it was reflected in this incredible hockey team that many people believe was some of the greatest hockey teams in the history of the National Hockey League. And they were called the Flying Frenchmen because there were all these great French-speaking stars like Guy Lafleur, like Jacques Lemaire, like Serge Savard. Of course, there were great English Canadian players too, Bob Gainey, Ken Dryden, etc., Steve Shutt. But there was a real French flavor to that team. And it's just, so the book is really about how the team reflects the society, how the team impacts the society. Really, the idea, and I'm sure even Boston Bruins fans know this, Montreal Canadiens are not just a hockey team.
No.
It's Les Canadiens de Montréal. They were created specifically for the French Canadian community here, just the way the Bruins are rooted in the Boston community, even more so, though, in the sense that it was specifically created for French Canadians. And that heritage has always been there. And the team is less French now, but that's kind of what the book looks at, this French identity and how it's changed over the years. But it's still a big deal. Look, I mean, the coach still has to be able to speak French. Martin St. Louis, basically under the reign of Jeff Molson as owner, the coach has to be able to speak French. And I get it. I mean, they've got to speak.
Yeah, the one time that didn't happen was, who was the interim?
Randy Cunningworth.
Yes, Randy Cunningworth, and that was a disaster.
I mean, it was practically like Third World War here. It even went to the National Assembly, the Premier of Quebec, saying, "Oh my God, that it's
insane.
hilarious."
It is. And I can just say, I don't mean to interrupt you, Brendan, but I've been coming here since 2002 for my job covering the Bruins for many of the past 23 years now. Geez, I'm getting old. I've had the pleasure of coming here because of my job, but I got adopted by this city. I mean, it literally is in my heart, in my soul. It's a second home to me. And it's so ironic because I grew up going to Bruins games and obviously hating the Canadiens. I was born and raised by my grandfather, who had season tickets from 1967 to 1995 when the old Garden went down. And, the game you circle every Canadiens game, every Bruins Canadiens game. And so for me to come here, and it's a part of me that was sad because he died in 2001. And so he was never able to see the way that this city affected me. I kept my Boston roots, obviously, but I understood the enemy. I understood the other side of it. And everything that Brendan just said right now, he described it so poetically and so apropos and so perfectly, it is part of the fabric of this city. It is part of the fabric of this province. And there's still obviously holdover Nordiques fans. There's a lot of Bruins fans here, by the way. That's one thing I learned when I lived here for 2 years.
There's a subculture.
Yep. But that's what I love about it, because when you go to a Bruins Canadiens game at the Bell Center, I never had the pleasure of being at the Forum, so all I can speak to is the Bell Center. But when you go to any game at the Bell Center, but more so a Bruins Canadiens game, for you soccer fans out there, it is the equivalent of a Liverpool Man United or Liverpool Man City or a Celtic Rangers. But the Celtic Rangers might not be the best comparison, because the one thing I love, and you touch on it in your book, and you really focused on that 7-1 series there, Brendan, is there is an underlying mutual respect. Do I think there's been plenty of fights outside the streets or in the stands in the Bell Center in the Bruins Canadiens game? Sure there have. But I have seen so many times, whether it's here at McLean's Public House or at the old McLean, the one that's still standing here, it's not old, it's still there, down at 1220 Crescent Street, whether it's over at my friend Rod Appleby's bar, Hurley's Pub, where you were last night, or Brutopia right next door. Right. I have seen, after the hardest war they watched on the ice, Brendan, Bruins fans and Canadiens fans drinking Jameson shots together and reveling in the celebration of a rivalry, and Bruins fans understanding what this team means to this culture. And I'm so glad you wrote that book.
Well, you know what? There's an interesting quote, and it's because the two great rivalries, in my view, for the Montreal Canadiens, the greatest one historically, I believe, really in the last 40 years is the Boston Bruins, but was also the Quebec Nordiques, obviously, in the 1980s. And Sebastian Frechette, who's an author and a hip-hop artist, he said, you know what? A team needs to have a rival. They need to have an enemy. It's like in the Marvel movies. You need to have the bad guy. And for the Boston Bruins, it's the Montreal Canadiens. And for the Canadiens, it really almost always was the Bruins. I remember years ago, Dennis Leary was here, super popular comic. He's playing it just for laughs. And he comes on at the end of the show, and he puts on, he's got on a Bruins jersey.
Right.
And so everyone in the crowd, and this is a long time ago, when, let's face it, we had your guys' number for a long, long time in the playoffs, right? And it was always the Canadiens. No matter how good the Boston team was, they would win. And it was back in those days, and they all started booing him. And he says, come on, man, fuck off. He says, I can say that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, forget it. F
you
off.
said it, don't matter.
Okay. But, he said, come on, F off. He said, you guys beat us every year in the playoffs. But, of course, and what's great about the rivalry is now it's kind of switched over, right? In the Bergeron era, Boston started the Cam Neely era. The Chara era, they started winning in the playoffs. But, you know, those series, think about it, 2011, right? That was the year of the Cup.
PK Subban ties it to send it to overtime.
That's 2014. 2014, right?
No.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
They lost. The Canadiens lost in, was it double or triple overtime?
Horton.
Nathan Horton,
Horton here
So, yeah, but I'm with you. But, yeah, then 2014, of course, the Canadiens got revenge.
Because I was thinking that one. Remember when Subban jumps out of the penalty box?
That was game 4 here at the Bell Center.
Jumps out of the penalty box. The breakaway.
I'm only here usually as a visiting reporter, Brendan, but you're here a lot. Were you at that game?
I was not at the game.
Okay. But I'm sure you've talked to many people that are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In my lifetime, in my 20 plus years that I've been going to the Bell Center, Molson Center, that is the loudest I have ever heard the building was when he scored that goal coming out of the penalty box and broke in and beat Tuukka Rask. And right then and there, I looked at the reporter next to me. It was Joe Haggerty, good friend of mine, and he's at the time he's with NBC Sports. And I said, the Bruins are effed.
Right.
Now, they did go back and win game 5, but then the Canadiens won game 6. And then PK Subban had the famous saying where he said, I can't wait to go down there and silence the garden and silence the crowd.
No. My buddy Robbie Hart.
Oh, this is one of your friends.
Yeah. Robbie
hey, Robbie,
Hart.
Ronnie Hart, nice to meet you, brother. Jimmy Murphy, pleasure to meet you.
How you doing, man? Yeah. So, anyways, so game 7.
Shot at J-Mo.
Yeah, sure. Game 7, you know, and he says he's going to shut it down, and they do. And it's like that's one of the great moments. I mean, honestly, if I had to say the 2 great moments of Montreal Canadiens playoff history, it's beating the Bruins that year in 2014, game 7. And then it's also, obviously, 2021.
Yeah.
2021.
Oh, yeah.
Beating the Vegas Golden Knights, overtime, Arturi Lehkonen on a pass from Philip Danault. You remember that pass? Philip Danault, a back pass?
Yes.
And what day was that, Jimmy? What day of the year was that?
Was that Johnson?
Johnny the Baptist Day.
Yes.
It's in my book. Habs Nation, June 24th. If you ever doubt that there's a thing here that it's more than just a hockey team, Philip Danault, remember he came to the press conference after. It's the French-Canadian national holiday. We call it La Fête Nationale here. It's the day to celebrate, French Canada and Quebec.
I've been there for that many times.
And Danault comes to the press conference, and it was the biggest win. It got them to the Stanley Cup final. And Philip Danault comes at the press conference, and every time they won a series that year, he used to bring a slice of pizza. And he said, and it was the final, a conference final. They won the Western Conference Final that year because it was the
which
COVID
was so
rule.
weird, wasn't
so
that?
And
weird. You're like, we're in the same age group, and we grew up with the Campbell Conference and the Wales Conference, and here you are seeing the Montreal Canadiens winning the Campbell Conference Trophy.
The
Campbell Trophy.
So
it was bizarre.
But then Philip Danault comes up, and I recount this in the book Habs Nation, and he says, I just want to tell you guys, because a lot of the journalists are from the States and they're from other places across North America. And he says, this is a very important day for us. It's Saint Jean-Baptiste Day, the Fête Nationale. And it's like, how cool is that this incredible moment for the Canadiens happens on Quebec's national holiday, which is really what the theme of the book is, that it's this the tie between French Canada and the team.
It's almost, you know, like we have a thing in Massachusetts where I grew up. It's only celebrated in Massachusetts called Patriots Day.
Right.
It's the second or third Monday of April, right? It's also Boston Marathon Day. It's a huge thing. I mean, everything shuts down and the marathon's huge. Obviously, you know how important that is to that city. But the Red Sox play a game every year on Patriots Day at 11 a.m.
Right.
And the thing is, the reason they do it at 11 a.m. is because by the time the Red Sox game ends, you're pouring out into Kenmore Square and Boylston Street, right where the Boston Marathon ends.
Right. Oh,
so
wow.
that is like the Bruins don't really have what I'm trying to give you a sports comparison. That is the Boston comparison of what you have, of what you just described there.
That you say that, Jimmy, because like when I say the Montreal Canadiens are not just another hockey team, and you know, and you're thinking of comparables, well, there's no other.
There really isn't.
There's no other hockey team, but if you could say it would be the New York Yankees, it's the Boston Red Sox, it's Man U, it's very much Barca in European football, or what we call soccer.
Yep.
You know, it's Glasgow Celtic, which you mentioned before. You know, very much that kind of thing. But there are these teams that have a position in their society, in their community, right? I mean, there's something going on with the Canadiens that's more than hockey. It's about French identity. It's community. Because one of the things I talk about in the book is how in 2021, when they went on that incredible run with a not very good team, honestly.
Yep.
And that happened, and it was also the end of the COVID regulations here. We had some of the harshest COVID regulations in North America, and they were just ending. And you remember what it was like? There was 10,000 people outside the Bell Center every night, and it was illegal. You were only supposed to have like 500 people outside, and it was like as if the cops are going to come and break up a Habs celebration. And so we getting out of COVID, and who brings us out of COVID?
The Canadiens.
You know,
I remember it. So at the time, I was not that anyone needs to know my background, but I have to explain this story because obviously, as I said, so coming here so many years, I lived here for 2 years from 2013 to 2015. I had a former girlfriend here. I got to learn the culture, and she was Anglo, but I still learned the French Canadian culture as well. As you know, I frequent McLean's, I frequent Brutopian and Hurley's, and I love the music scene here. I mean, this is, like I said, this city's part of me. And when that happened in 2021, right as COVID hit, right after it hit, I was living in a town called it's actually considered a city. It's called Waltham, Mass. It's next to Newton, near Cambridge. You've heard of Cambridge, Mass, where Harvard is, obviously. Yeah. So anyhow, very expensive place to live, and I'm already paying a pretty good price. And 2 months after COVID hits, my landlord at the time, and I'm not going to say his name, even though I'd love to throw him under the bus, he decides to raise the rent $1,000.
Right.
Right as we're all losing our jobs, and I'm in hockey, and everything's on hold.
Right.
Like, what the bleep am I doing right now? So a buddy of mine reaches out to me. He's like, "Hey, Jimmy, you know, I own an old Colonial in Springfield, Mass. And Springfield, Mass. Is kind of a sketchy place, but it was in a good section." He said, "It's got 8 apartments in it. I can rent you a 1-bedroom, everything included, for $800. If you want to live here during COVID until things start to get better for you, I move out there." And so as things started to open up, I just adopt this little bar. It's called the Irish Ale House in Springfield. And every night I'd be there watching that Canadiens run.
Right.
And despite the fact there's obviously a lot of Bruins fans in Springfield, Mass, but there's also a lot of, they're close to Connecticut. Right. There's a lot of leftover Whalers fans. There's some Rangers. There's an assortment. But by the end of that run for the Habs, by the time they reached the final, I had that bar packed, cheering on the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, really?
With Massachusetts people.
That's
because
so
of everything I explained that your book explains. Because they were Red Sox fans. And I always draw the parallel. Red Sox, and this is no offense to the Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins fans, you're amazing. It's a great fan base. You epitomize the working class Irish society of Boston. But at the same time, when it comes down to it, the Red Sox are the fabric of Boston.
100%.
So they equal the Canadiens to me.
Totally.
And I explained that. And so I had a whole pub packed cheering for the Canadiens. And when they beat the Knights, the bar bought us all Jameson and said, "Hey, Jimmy, thanks for introducing us to us. It's helped us during a tough time. We got out here, we all united. And how ironic is it that we united around the Montreal Canadiens?
That's too funny. But you know what? I often go to the McLean's or Maison Publique for my What the Puck column in the Gazette.
I know.
And I talk to fans. And
By the way, I want to tell everybody where they can find that too.
where they can
Your
find.
What the Puck. It's
What the Puck.
Gazette?
What the Puck. Yeah, MontrealGazette.com. It's What the Puck. It comes out once a week. And really what it is I kind of, it's been there for about 10 years.
It's your book.
It's my book. It's about the culture of the Montreal Canadiens.
Exactly.
I'm not talking about, Stu Cowan and Herb Zurkowski do a great job of covering the team and what's happening. Me is looking at the fan culture around the team. But so, and often I talk to the fans. And when it's a Bruins game in town, I go talk to the Bruins fans, and they're super courteous. They love Montreal. They love being in Montreal. Obviously, they're Bruins fans. And listen, the thing about Montreal is, like, everyone, like you said, there's a mutual respect there.
There's a great Irish background here. I mean, there's an Irish culture here.
Listen, I live in
that I never, before I started coming, it's amazing.
Listen, I live in NG, which has got a real history of Irish culture.
Honey Martin.
Little Irish mobster thing going on too, And it's like,
shout out to Shane Murphy, by the way.
Yeah, Shane Murphy lives around the corner from me.
No relation to me. But.
And the thing about it is, like, there was always a lot of Bruins fans in NG. Like, I mean, I remember in the 70s when it was the Flying Frenchman, and they, my book starts with the line, "The parade will follow the usual route," which is what the mayor at the time, Jean Drapeau, used
Pierre
to say.
McGuire has told me about that many
Because
times.
it was like they didn't have to tell people where to go because it happened every year, every second year. Yeah, it's Peel and St. Catherine.
It's right down there, right? Yeah.
That's it. And it was like, but right in the time of the best team in hockey, so there were these Bruins fans, and it was a bit of a single finger salute to Quebec in a way. But it's Irish people, and they're like, F you, like, we've got our own thing. And of course, the whole Irish side to Boston. And, frankly, in the 70s, when my brother was a big Boston Bruins fan, I mean, come on.
Wow. Because of Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr,
yeah.
Phil Esposito, Jerry Cheevers.
I've heard that a lot in my time in Montreal.
It's an incredible thing. But it's fun. So there has always been a sense of Mohawk.
And then Ray Bork.
Ganawaki. Yeah. Ray Bork, of course. Yep. But in Ganawaki.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I'm glad you brought that out. Yeah, thank you. Good segue.
Yeah, nice segue.
I want to give this shout out as we were setting up here. And again, we apologize. We had some technical difficulties setting up. But as I was setting up, I had the pleasure of meeting some people from, it's called the Innu Nation.
Yeah, that's up north.
Up north in Quebec. Yeah. And they wanted me to give a shout out to the people from Pessamit, Quebec. I'm going to murder the pronunciation, but I'm just showing love, I promise. Quick. That's what they told me to say to you. Sure and they said there are a lot of Bruins fans. It's pretty much split Bruins Canadian fans. And as we're saying this and talking about the sub-Bruins culture here, there you go. Up in northern Quebec, in the First Nation culture, there are Bruins and Canadians fans there as well. So the rivalry translates through the whole province.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a great rivalry, and it really, like, see, Hockey Night in Canada, which is the broadcast in Canada, always tries to convince us that our real rivals are the Toronto Maple Leafs. And of course, there is a historic rivalry with the Leafs. But the reality is that the real rivals are the Bruins. Unfortunately, it's been a bit dormant because they haven't played in the playoffs since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Every time there's a game,
it feels like a playoff game.
The intensity.
And the players tell you that too.
Yeah.
And it's no lie. Like, sometimes you hear, like, I've seen years where, the Yankees, Red Sox players, and it's not really there, but they'll try to fake it. And you can tell they're faking it.
Right.
I've never, in my 23 years of covering this rivalry, I've never seen the players fake their appreciation for what they've been blessed to be a part of.
No, it's a real thing. Like I said, I think the Toronto rivalry takes further back, but it's just not, the intensity is not there. In the 80s, it was the Nordiques. There's no question.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, think
was
back.
That the Easter Sunday, was it?
Friday, Good Friday.
Good Friday,
yeah. They've owned it.
For all you hockey fans out there, whether you cheer for the Canadiens, Nordiques, or what, and even if you're a Bruins fan, go to YouTube and look that up.
Every player
it was
slapshot.
It was slapshot.
Crazy.
Completely.
But you think of the Bruins rivalry. In the book, I interviewed Scotty Bowman, one of the greatest coaches in the history of hockey. and he
I
only
know.
started.
I kind of know him.
You've heard of him.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I kind of heard.
Your friend Pierre McGuire may have.
I may have been
mentioned him once
blessed
or
to call him a friend now. It's it's a
Yes.
great thing.
I mean, Scotty's amazing, and I interviewed him 2 years ago, and I mean, I don't know, he was like 92. His mind,
It's insane.
I mean, he's nuts. Sharp as a razor.
He's the Rain Man of hockey.
And Jimmy,
And I mean that with a
talks to you-
compliment.
He starts talking to you about Bobby Orr or whatever, and he starts telling you all these things that he did in minor league hockey in '65. And he was talking about that series because
Yeah.
one of the greatest playoff series ever, 1971, right?
Yep.
With the Bruins Habs.
Yeah.
So Bruins won in 1970, right?
Yep. I mean,
They're gonna-
the Canadiens ruined the dynasty for the
and they're
Bruins.
going to win again in 72.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's not a great Canadiens team. It's going to be way better.
And then
in the
Jean
late-
Beliveau took over when you were down 5-2.
and Jean Beliveau and Henri Richard. Henri Richard,
Yep.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Eh? And but what Scotty said,
My,
And you
my,
can't-
Bru- my Bruins viewers really love you right now. Let me
that's
tell you.
it. Yeah.
No, he's a good
They
guy,
don't
guys. I swear.
They don't want to hear this story again.
No, they
But
appreciate
Scotty
it. They
Bowman said
appreciate
that
great.
He wasn't yet coaching. It was the last year for Al McNeil. What a funny story, by the way, just as a parenthesis. Al McNeil coaches the Montreal Canadiens to the Stanley Cup. They beat the Bruins. They win against the Blackhawks in Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final. I mean, he gets fired as coach because he was in a fight with Henri Richard only in Quebec. That's
Yes.
a cultural politics. But Scotty Bowman said that Boston series, he said, Boston was the better team.
Yep.
It was a guy called Ken Dryden
Oh,
who'd only played 6 regular season
Amazing.
games, and he
who,
just
who was drafted by who?
it was Boston.
Yeah.
Someone say that Ken Dryden didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Way
Later
in
on,
his
yeah,
life.
he was traded by the Bruins to the Canadiens.
That's not
Rare. It's
That
funny.
was not a good trade.
By the way, our good friend and the owner of McLean's Public House, Stu Ashton, is sitting here right now. We were just talking about it earlier. He was asking me, we were talking about Alex Newhook's injury. I mean,
Right.
Alex Newhook has
Terrible.
obviously become a great, we'll get
Yeah.
to that in a bit, a big part of this team with the Canadiens in the top 6, having his best year since he came here. And I said, if I was them, but I just don't know how you pull it off because it's Bruins Canadiens. I'm all over Pavel Zacha right now. I'm trying to pry him from the Bruins because I think he'd be the perfect, not just replacement, but even keep him after. Just
You think
a
they have to
great
make a
piece.
deal? Do the Habs have?
I don't know if the Bruins are willing to do that deal right now, but I think he'd be a perfect fit here. I had reported months ago that there was talk between the teams. The Canadiens in them. The Canadiens denied that, but I still stand by my source. Like, why wouldn't you? He's a 4.5 cap hit, 2 years
Right.
left. He's under your control. It's a really good utility player to
I
have.
mean, it's more with the Bruins doing
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah. So anyhow, but getting back to what we're saying though, it is amazing that so many Bruins and Canadiens fans don't realize that Ken Dryden
No, that's
was
crazy.
Bruins
eh?
property. And it's like, if I'm a Boston fan, when I found that out, I'm like, oh wait, so we traded Babe Ruth and we traded Ken Dryden. What the hell is going on?
What's
with
wrong
us?
with it? What's wrong with that city? I mean, Ken Dryden, passed away just a couple.
Yeah,
months
that's
ago.
his soul. I
And-
met him a couple times. I'm
Oh,
sure you have too,
What
Brendan.
a fantastic.
What a
human being.
cerebral, classy man. I was.
You know
just,
what?
It
I
was
called
honor
him
to
up.
interview
I
him.
got his number and I called him up to participate in the book. And he called me back, and he didn't want to, but he was super polite and he was super nice. And he said, he has that quiet way of talking. And he said, Brendan, I feel I've told that story too many times. But and I said, fair enough. But he was willing to at least tell me personally, person to person.
Not just blow you off,
But 6
which
cups-
happens in our business
Yes,
a lot.
it does a lot. But I was just going to say, though, Ken Dryden, the guy who was drafted by the Boston Bruins, never played for them, 6 cups in 8 seasons.
He won
And
the Conn Smythe and the Stanley Cup before he won the Rookie of the Year.
unbelievable, right?
Nobody's ever done that.
and-
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but I'm saying he won that before he won the Calder.
Yeah, he won the Calder the next year.
Yeah.
Won the Calder
which
the
is
next
nobody's
year.
ever done that. He won a cup and the MVP of the playoff
And I was
before he got Rookie of the Year.
And I was mentioning that because he only played 6 games that season. And the next guy to win the Calder Trophy for the Montreal Canadiens was
Lane Hudson.
Lane Hudson.
Yes.
So what is that? 50 years later,
It's amazing.
incredible. It's actually
Well,
kind of
you know what?
crazy.
Good segue. Let's get into current times here and tee up this game. Because we already are. We're running short on time. We got about 15 minutes left. We'll go a little over since we started a little late. I want to say, and I can just, based on my wonderful teammate with the eye test, which you can find here 4 to 5 p.m. every Monday through Friday on the Sick Podcast Network. Pierre McGuire and myself hosted, as you know, and you've been on that as well. And I want to say that, I remember this 3 years ago. No, we're going back 4 years now. When they drafted 2022?
I think it was.
Okay, so years before he even got to BU. Lane wasn't even at BU.
No, I know.
And Scotty, speaking of Scotty Bowman, Scotty saw Lane Hudson play, I believe the story goes when he was 11 years old.
You know what?
And he calls Pierre and he's like, Pierre, like when you just see developing greatness? Scotty obviously has an eye for that. He knew. He knew.
I didn't hear that story, but your buddy.
Oh, yeah, he was hyping him up before.
Pierre was talking about Lane Hudson when he was for years.
And you know why? It wasn't even about it. If you remember Mitch Mellon's show, it wasn't even about how Lane played in the games. And this is how you know how scouts look at it. They look at how they practice.
Right.
And he's like, Mitch, I'm telling you, I'm over and over. You heard him. This kid is a real deal. Watch out. And voila.
He's having a bad week, but
whatever. They are young still.
He's a superstar.
He is.
I saw that interview the other night on the Amazon broadcast of I forget which game it was, but then it was the Habs Monday night game, and the reporter was skates, and she was interviewing Lane Hudson
I saw that too.
with his skates.
And they were doing the lateral skating back and forth.
He had his
yeah.
Who could do that?
He does that.
That's his signature. And he's like, I swear. Actually, I did one of the things this week in my What the Puck column was, what's more exciting, to watch Ivan Demidov or Lane Hudson? Because you know what?
How about both on the power play together?
Oh, man. And when they connect.
Yeah.
And Lane does those little,
Again, it's a good segue. So for Bruins fans that, aren't following the Canadiens on a game-by-game basis, you know about them, you read about them. What I will say right now, I watch them all the time. I just, I got to watch every game. That's the standard I have to live up to, and I'm proud to do it when I co-host with Pierre. And what I'll tell you is the Canadiens are on their way. And Bruins fans don't want to hear that, but they're on their way. But what you do want to hear and you do want to learn about is how they got to this point and how they did beat the wild card last year. And furthermore, and I've had this conversation. I was talking to a couple of staff here in McLean's Public House, and I was down at McLean's. By the way, too, I stopped at McLean's on the way up. Had a good reuniting with the staff there. And what I want to say for Bruins fans, I know this is hard for you to swallow. You need to hope that the Bruins do what Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes embarked on a couple of years ago in 2022 when they took over. Be honest with yourself, evaluate where the team is, and make a plan and follow it, even if you're on the brink of making the playoffs and you have a chance to get into the wild card like the Canadiens did last year, and they did actually do it. Don't trade the house. Don't give up the first-round picks or the prospects and go for like some superstar that you're going to get on a rental.
But that's it. Look what
the Canadiens fans are so grateful that Kent did that because they're not there where they are now, right?
They are, right?
Yeah.
And the phrase we have amongst the Montreal fan culture is in Hugo we trust. And Hugo is Hughes and Gorton. Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton. Jeff Gorton, obviously former Boston Bruins.
Yes, interim GM.
Executive. Yeah.
He was technically the GM of record when they signed number 33. Just went in the Hall of Fame. It ain't no char.
Really?
And Mark Savard on the same day.
Wow, amazing.
Now, given that there was Ottawa ties there and Peter Chiarelli was some GM in Ottawa.
Right.
Wink, wink. There's maybe something going on there, but we won't say that. But Jeff Gorton was great. I'm so glad he did a great job with the Rangers. I'm so happy for him. He's a friend of mine. He's been great to the eye test and the Sick Podcast Network. But yeah, Brendan, you see what they did, and you look at the Bruins right now, right? Don't they kind of resemble? They're not as further ahead in their development of their prospects, but in terms of where they are in their stages right now, you guys were that last year, right?
Well, I think it's a valid
and it's like, don't get carried away with this right now. There's many teams exist in the NHL. My co-host of the podcast, shout out to Brendan Scott. He couldn't join us because we didn't have the equipment today to do it. But I miss you, Brendan. Good name.
Yeah, good name.
And he has always said, and he was exactly right, when I would get carried away with, say, the Red Wings or other teams that are kind of teams everybody talks about that are on the rise. He goes, no, they're mid. The NHL is completely mid right now. And
Okay.
yeah, we're just having some image problems.
Okay.
There we go.
You've got an image problem, Jimmy.
I know. I've got a face for radio. So anyhow, that's what I'm trying to say is the Bruins are kind of in a similar path where they need to restart the system. Don't get carried away, even if you're in the hunt for a playoff spot at the deadline. Learn from the Canadiens.
Well, this is exactly what happened with Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon. Gordon taking over in the fall of 21, joined shortly thereafter by Kent Hughes, and they pick up Martin St. Louis as the coach. That's the whole thing, and it's so different from what's happened. We've had really not great management for a couple of decades here, and precisely because people panic and, oh my God, got to do this, got to do that. These guys, like you're saying, these guys have stuck to their guns, and they've been there like, okay, we're in the rebuild. Now, in my view, they're out of the rebuild. But
Now you can make that splash.
Right. They've done it organically. Last year, for example, they went on that run after the Four Nations to get into the playoffs, right? And they kept the players that they had.
Yeah.
So they didn't sell off the players. And they said to Nick Suzuki, okay, you want us to prove it.
Yep.
Keep these players, you prove it.
And he hasn't stopped, by the way.
And Suzuki just
God.
on that.
If he doesn't make the Canadian Olympic team, I'm sorry, Doug Armstrong, you're out of your mind.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
I think he'll be there.
He will. But to your credit, what you're saying, do you remember when they traded Justin Barron?
Right. What a great trade.
For Carrier.
Right.
That was one of the most under the radar strategic trades where you didn't sacrifice a lot of your present or the future, but you got a guy you knew that needed to fill a hole.
And how big
That's what the Bruins need to do, in my opinion.
No, and the Bruins was, I always used to say up until 2 years ago, the Bruins, you would always be like the last few years, oh, they're not going to do it. And they would always be better than expected. But then finally, the older guys left. Marchand's gone. Bergeron's gone. They do have to rebuild. They still have stars. They have obviously Pasternak. But it's like, hopefully they stay the course. But I mean, I know there's pressure from the fans. There's pressure from the media for immediate results. And you know what? The Canadiens did that for years. I used to say they managed via the Journal de Montreal, the big newspaper here. They see something on the front page. Oh my God, we got to fire this guy, pick up this guy. Right. Consistent.
But Hugo said, screw that. We're gonna stick to our guns. And I look at the same thing with the Bruins, right? I mean, you got to think about it, Brendan. They are in a market that spoiled silly with championships for the last 20 years. Ever since Adam Vinatieri kicked that, Brady drove him down the field in 2002, and Vinatieri kicked that to upset the Rams. It was like this string of 20 years where it's just, whatever, we'll win 3 here, and the Patriots will win this, and the Bruins will win 1, the Celtics win 2. And Boston sports fans were spoiled, so all they expect is, well, you can't do a rebuild. What are you, nuts? You have to make the final, not just the playoffs. You have to win a championship. So I think it's imperative on Cam Neely and Don Sweeney right now to block that noise out and look yourself in the eye and look in the mirror and say, this is where we are. And I don't care what Jimmy Murphy or any other reporter in Boston says, we should get this guy at the deadline. Screw that. Stick to your guns and keep going forward.
You know what's funny is in Montreal, everyone used to say in the media and in the fan culture, we can't do a rebuild here because the fans are too crazy. They're too intense. And you know what? They did a rebuild. And
it was tough at first.
It was tough.
Yep.
But one of the things that was great is Jeff Molson, the owner, and Ken Hughes came out and they said, here's what we're doing.
They were honest.
They were honest, and they were way more transparent than previous management. And you know what? People like that. They appreciated that.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, we know what
my government could be like that. But that's another one. Yeah,
I don't even want to go there. But you know what? And you got to the point, I remember Serge Savard for the book, and Serge was cool, right? And he's actually said he was at a Boston Bruins game at the Bell Center, and the Bruins came back, and people were cheering for the Bruins because they wanted to get the number 1 draft choice. And he's like, oh my God, what is this? But the fans bought into the rebuild. They said, okay, we need to get high picks. They got a number 1 pick. They got 2 number 5 picks. And guess what? They got
where they are now.
They got some great players. They got a guy, Demidov. Honestly, think about it.
That was
number
steal.
5.
It's because, and by the
guy.
way, for people to understand, since COVID and everything that's going on with Russia and Ukraine, and there's a hesitancy. People are hesitant to draft Russians, no matter how skilled they are, because you don't know what's going to happen, when they'll make it over here. As you saw, there was so much politics involved in getting Demidov over here. But the Canadian scouts, God bless them, no, we're not going to pass this up. We're going to just, we're going to take a chance, and good for them to stick in their guns. All right, we got to close this up. I want to get to the game tomorrow. My take on this is not a good spot for the Boston Bruins. It is that the Canadiens, as you said when we started off the show, have had a really crap week. They've been outscored.
No, they're hungry.
They're 14. What was it? 14 to what? They've been outscored.
Well, I think it was the 2 games. Was
12 to 1. 12 to 1.
7-0.
All right, and I know the Bruins are coming off a loss in Ottawa. And by the way, I love Marcus Sturm, the new coach. Credit to him. Usually when you do the Ottawa Montreal swing or vice versa, that train ride, win or lose, is always a let's have a few in Bond guys and have a nice train ride. Maybe hit the after hours establishments in Montreal and have a good time. And right after the game, I get an email from the Bruins PR saying Boston Bruins practicing tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Oh, really?
And that was not on the schedule. So Marco's like, you guys sucked in Ottawa. You're practicing.
Listen, you know what? It's Saturday night.
I think it's going to be a good game.
Saturday night at the Bell Center, what we call hockey night in Canada, here in Canada, and it's traditional rivals. They're tied for first place in the Atlantic. Montreal's had a disastrous week. They've got goaltending issues, 2 big injuries to Goulet. Well, Goulet was already injured, but now he had surgery.
And the Bruins are coming off 2 straight losses after a 7-game win streak.
So it's going to be an intense fight. It's always the intensity is always ramped up for Boston Montreal. And like you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, they don't play very often. I think it's going to be a hot game.
So what's your prediction?
I think Montreal wins it. I would say overtime.
I'm going overtime too.
No? Overtime.
4-3. 4-0 Montreal.
I'm saying
okay. My guys are going 4-3.
I say 4-3 because this Montreal team lives for 3-on-3 overtime, right? Yeah. You get out Hudson, you get out Suzuki, you get out Demidov.
I'm going to go 3-2 Montreal in overtime.
All right.
And I'll go the game winner will go to Wayne Hudson.
I'm giving it to Demidov.
All right.
He needs
I think Pasta scores a goal for the Bruins too.
But who's in nets for Montreal?
We don't know yet.
I say Joby.
All right. And listen, thoughts out to Katie. That's tough.
Tough.
That was so hard to watch, that injury. Reminded me of Joe Eisman. Oh, it was brutal. So, we feel for him. He's a Boston College kid, Connecticut kid. Yeah, but he played in Connecticut as well. Good kid. Hope they get better soon. I want to give a shout out to our wonderful friend Stu Ashton here, McLean's Public House, and also McLean's Pub. The wonderful staff here. If you come in here tonight, you're watching, you're listening, you're crossing the border right now. By the way, tell the Border Patrol says hi. And come on up. If you get into town, they have amazing food here. Of course, you've got the towers like they have at the other McLean's. If celiac like me, or you're looking to have a healthy meal, I suggest the healthy chicken. It happens to be the favorite meal of the eye in the sky for the Montreal Canadiens.
I did not know that.
A certain assistant coach. I won't say the name, but that's all we'll say. It's a great place. You definitely got to come here and obviously check McLean's as well. And a shout out to everybody out there coming up. Safe travels. The weather's been a little hairy, as I found out the other day coming up here. Shout out to Shane working the boards back there in Boston. Shout out to my co-host Brendan Scott. Brendan, so amazing. Tell our listeners and viewers where they can find you on social.
Yeah.
And also one more promo for your book, please.
Right. So the book is Habs Nation, A People's History of Canada. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it anywhere online. You can get it in quality bookstores anywhere. I write for the Montreal Gazette. You can find my column, What the Puck, on MontrealGazette.com. Instagram, it's at Brendan Ramon.
There we go.
To the Ramones. I'm on Facebook, Brendan Kelly. Look me up.
And I'm going to one of your
yeah, you
songs,
got
right?
it.
What are those called, by the way?
It's called High Fidelity. They're
Like the movie.
Yeah,
With John
exactly.
Cusack.
100%.
There we go. I love it.
Cool 80s music.
I love it. I love it. That sounds good to me. I will definitely be at the next one there. To everybody, if you're coming up, again, come to McLean's Public House. Tip the bartenders and the servers well. And tell them Jimmy Murphy and Brendan Kelly sent you. They'll treat you well as well. Have a great one out there. Enjoy the weekend of hockey. Enjoy the Bruins Habs tomorrow. He's Brendan Kelly. I'm Jimmy Murphy. It's been another edition of the Bruins Vibes podcast on the Sick Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Bruins Vibes on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.